Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're going to wrap up a very fun day, and a great day of making content on the channel, with our last game tonight as we play Amerika Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies by Compass Games. In case this is your first time stopping by for Amerika Bomber, this is a game set in an alternate timeline of World War II Europe, where Nazi Germany has won the war in Europe and is now turning their attention to the United States. They've taken over a forward base in the Azores Islands in the middle of the Pacific, or in the Atlantic, under pressure from Portugal, and they're using that as a base to attack the American mainland with the help of their advanced Amerika bombers. They're very long-range Amerika bombers. In this case, we're in an ME-364. I need to be careful to not jar my ammo loose. And this is a good game to get on the channel to close the night out, because the mission of this takes usually about 40 to 45 minutes. So that's actually perfect for a length of a video tonight. So, what say we jump right in? We've got May 1947, our third sortie. So let's roll for our target and see what we're aiming at. We'll be using a D66 roll for that on the April to June 1947 chart. A 42 says we are aiming at Union Carbide, South Charleston, West Virginia. That is in Zone 6. So I'll make some notes here. Now I need to go to my log sheet with Grim. Seems like the same target we attacked. Looks like the same target we attacked on our last sortie. And nope, we attacked DuPont, which was a car manufacturing company, presumably. But actually, DuPont is carpet, but probably some kind of mechanical machinery during that. But we were also aiming at Charleston. So we will lift off into Zone 1. And we need the... Nothing encounter occurs in Zone 1. Starting in Zone 2. So now we move into Zone 2 and we roll for an encounter on B1. That's a 2d6 roll. That's a 7, which is 2 P-80 shooting stars. Okay, so now we need the position chart in shot. And I need 2 P-80s out, which I will find right here. Alright, and we need to roll to see where they're coming at us from. So I'll use the D10 for the approach, and a D6 for... Actually, a D6 to determine if they're coming at us level, high, or low. Okay, and we're going to have to roll for fighter cover as well, but I'll deal with that in a second here. So first up, here we go. Alright, so the first one is coming at us from approach 2 high. So I'll grab a high chit for this one. Approach 2 high. And then the other one is coming at us from approach 3 level. So we'll start it right there. We get to roll for 3 level. So now we have to roll for friendly fighter cover. 1 to 5 we get to remove one of them, 6 we don't. That's a 2, so we get to remove a fighter. The question is, which one do I want to remove? Which one can we put more turrets at is the question. Let's see. So we've got... Okay, these are all the targets. These are all the guns that we've got. Nose guns can go at all of them. Top turret can aim at both of them as well. We won't need the ventral turret. So it looks like it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So I will take away the P-80 coming at us from approach 2. Okay, so that fighter goes away, and now we have the one P-80 that we have to deal with. And I believe either one of them hit on the same approach. Actually, yeah, either one would hit on a 6. Alright, so we're rolling from long range. Let's see what happens here. And that's for both of them. So we get to fire first. That's a 1, which flips into a 6, but that doesn't work here. Then we have the fighter, which also needs a 6. That's a 4, that's also a miss. Moving into medium range. Right, we were using the... Actually, we have 2 shots, which I only used the nose guns. That's all we'll say there. And I'll use the nose guns again, along with the ventral turret, which I thought we had all of those. Oh yeah, we do have the ventral turret, so we'll use that as well. And that flips into a 4, so I need a 2 on the ammo. There we are. So medium, nose guns, ventral turret. So let's see what happens with the nose guns first. Both need a 6. That is a 6, so the nose gun hits. So let's see what kind of damage we do. By bomber defensive firepower, so we used the ventral turret with a firepower of a 6. That's a 4, so that one gets destroyed. Very nicely done. So now we're into Zone 3. Excuse me. Oh, in Zones 2 through 4, only F8F, F7F, and FJ1 rolls result in interception. So the P-80s shouldn't have even come in. Which means the P-80s should have been no interception. So I need to restore my ammo. Let's see, that'll be a 3 and a 3. So those P-80s shouldn't have been able to shoot at us. Okay, Zone 3 is a 6, no contact anyway. Zone 4, where we still have the restriction on the F8F, F7F, and FJ1. That's a 7, so the P-80s still don't come in. Zone 5, where now if we roll the P-80s, now they can come at us. A 6 is still no contact. And Zone 6, we're now over the target. We've had no problems so far, so we roll for an interception first. That's a 4. We've got 2 F8F Bearcats. So we'll get the F8Fs. And we need the position chart. The first one is coming at us. from approach 10, so there's only going to be one round from that one. The other one, so that's vertical dive. It's coming at us from approach 6 level. Okay, that's going to be problematic. So vertical dive and 6 level. Question is, do we have any approaches that can hit at vertical dive? And I think the answer to that is approach 10. Do we have a top turret? We have a top front turret. But I don't think that is the same thing. So I don't think... Oh no, they don't distinguish between the top front and top aft turret. So we'll use the top front turret at vertical dive. And at approach 6, we can use the tail guns. Actually, no, we can't use... Yeah, we can use the tail gun. Do we have right waist guns? We don't. So we can only use the tail guns at approach 6. I think that's all we've got there. Nose guns obviously won't touch it. Top front turret, we can turn the top turret on approach on the F8F on approach 6 when we get clear of the vertical dive. The ventral turret can only aim at 1 to 8 low, but that one here is coming at us at level. All right, so this is long with tail guns. All right, so we'll take in ammo from the top front turret. Now that we actually have a unit that should be attacking us, we need to find a 4 for that, and we'll roll. At approach 9, actually at approach 10, we need a 5 to 6. That's a 5, so that'll be a hit on the one on vertical dive. And we were using firepower 6 again. That's a 5, so that one gets destroyed. And now we'll see about dealing with the Wildcat at approach 6. That's the tail gun. So we'll get a 4 out for that, which I've got right here. And on approach 6, we need a 4 to 6 to hit. That's a 5, so that'll be another hit. So looks like we're probably gonna drive him off. And using the 6 on the tail guns, that's a 5. That one's also destroyed. Looks like Grim isn't playing around tonight. So we drove both F8Fs off, and now we have to roll for anti-aircraft fire. Let's see, where's anti-air? Right here. We are going to release... Actually, I forgot to put our chaff ammo on here. I'll get 2s for those. We'll release both shots of chaff. Which will cut down on our modifier here. Actually, we have to determine first, let's see, B2A. So roll a D6 before taking anti-air. We see how bad it is. We're dealing with medium anti-air. Okay. Let's see, medium anti-air, okay? Roll is not see how many hits the bomber takes. So the die roll is reduced if it's light or medium. So we've got a -1 roll there. And we released 2 shots of chaff. So we're looking at a -4 roll for 2d6 random hits. So let's see what we get here. Right? Taking medium AA fire. Okay? For a final -2. Our jammer is active, so we'll use that as well to give us a -1. Actually, a -2 on jamming. So we have a total of -7 on this roll. That's a 10, so -7, we're taking 3 hits. And then we've got our damage subcharts up here. So we'll roll 2d6 and add these together. Let's see, 4, actually, no, that's a 13 first. That's a starboard wing hit, which will turn into starboard wing of 5. Uh-oh, that's a fuel tank hit. That's going to do something special, I'm pretty sure. So that's a fuel tank hit. One of those. I don't think it really matters. Just double checking. Fuel tank requires a 2d6 roll. Okay. So we have to determine what happens here. A 10. Uh-oh, leaking. So we've got a leaking fuel tank. We have to roll for how many more zones we can travel. So that's a, what is it, a 2d6 roll? Yes. So we can travel 4 more zones, which means we're going to have to ditch early. We also have 2 more hits that we have to roll for from anti-air, though. 46 is a weapons hit. Let's see what that knocks out on the weapons. 5 knocks out the top aft turret, so we're just going to knock out the top turret altogether. So, let's see, the top turret... Top front turret's is just going to be gone. Yikes, that's going to make it harder to get home. And our last hit, 16, is a nose hit. We'll see what that turns into. 5 is a windshield hit. Oh dear. Let's see what happens on a windshield hit. Probably nothing good. Let's see, looks like a Windows hit is a +1 to the landing roll for a maximum of +2. So we've got a +1 landing roll. So we're obviously not making it back to the Azores in this case. And I'm going to get a... Actually, I'm going to get a die out here so I can track how many zones I have left I can travel. So the yellow D6 that I'm going to be pulling out here in a second is going to be so I can track that. That's all that yellow die is representing, is how many more zones I can travel. So +1 on a landing roll, which is going to be an emergency landing here anyway. So, excuse me. So now we roll to see about the bombing run. And I thought there was something on the chart where I could track it on one of these charts so I could track it. Oh, here we go. So now we roll on the bombing run. That's a 6, which means the run is off target. So now we roll 2d6 for the percentage of bombs on target. That's a 7, so we get exactly 0% of the bombs on target. That's delightful. Okay, so now we roll for an encounter again? I'm just double checking that. On the target, roll again for anti-air. Okay, so we have to take another round of anti-air. We'll see how heavy it is first. 5. This time we're taking heavy anti-air. We're taking heavy AA fire. So I'll release both shots of chaff again. I'll release both shots of chaff. Our jammer's still active, so we'll use that as well. And we are... Okay, so we're taking a... So we've got a -6 modifier. Let's see how much anti-air we're taking here. 3 minus 6 means we're taking -3 or 0 hits. Perfect timing because we need to try to get ourselves home again. So turn around. Okay, and the raid target zone roll is normal. Conduct combat of interception. Okay, move to the next zone toward the base. Okay. So now we're turning around and heading for home. So we've got 3 zones left we can travel now. We're in zone 5. So zone 5. 5 is 2 P-80 shooting stars. Is combat considered to be simultaneous? Because I might have had to roll for something there. Or might have had to roll for combat. Player fires first. Okay, so it's not what's the word I want? Simultaneous. Anyway, we'll grab our 2 P-80s. We'll see where they're coming at us from. First one is coming at us from approach 8 level. And the other one is approach 2 low. So approach 2 low. All right, unfortunately we don't have access to... We don't have access to the top front turret, so we don't have to worry about that. We will aim the nose guns at approach 2, and we'll put the tail guns at approach 8. Is there anything else we can do to help with that? We do have the ventral turret. Actually, the ventral turret we can't use on... Actually, the ventral turret we could use on the one on approach 2. So I think we will go ahead and do that. All right. So we'll look at the one at 8 level first. So the tail guns, we'll actually flip that over to a 3. I don't need that die, but I will use both my D6s. White to determine the hit, black to determine the damage if this is a hit. At approach 8, I need a 4 to 6. Which that's a 2, so we ignore the black die. So that was on the tail guns. Miss. And we've got the ventral turret and the nose guns going at approach 2. And both of these, we'll get a 4 out for the nose guns first. Here we are. The nose guns, actually approach 2 needs to be a 6 to hit. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. The white die is a 2, so we ignore that. And the ventral turret will go next. We'll get a 2 out for that. And that also needs to be a 6 to hit. That's a 1, so we ignore that as well. which means both of our P-80s will get to fire. So these were both from long range. So we'll roll for the one coming at us from approach 8 first. We'll see if that's a hit. That's a 6. That will definitely be a hit. We've already got problems. So from long range, so the P-80 is doing 1d6 random hits. So that one's going to deal 1 hit. Let's see what it does here. All right, 35. 35 is an airframe hit. Okay, actually, let's get a number chit for that. So we'll use a 1 there. Okay, and then for the approach 2 low, that also needs to be a 6. And we'll roll it the same way. White for a hit, black for how many hits if the white die turns out to be a hit. Which that fortunately turns out to be a miss. Okay. So we'll try this again as everybody moves up. Same turret assignments coming in. We'll deal with the P-80 first with the tail guns. We'll get a 2 out for the tail guns. And at approach 8, we need a 4 to 6 to hit. That is a 1, so another miss on the tail guns. So that one will get to take another shot at us. And then for approach 2, nose guns are still active, but only just, so we'll use those first. That's another miss. That's going to be a problem. And the ventral turret also needs to be a 6. Actually, the ventral turret is not the one that's out. The top front turret's the one that's gone. Okay, the 6 is actually a hit, thankfully, and the 2 means it's damaged. So that one will get to... So the one on approach 2 will get to fire, but it will break off after its firing run. So we'll look at the P-80 coming at us from approach 8 first. Thankfully, that one's a miss. And then for the one coming at us from approach 2 low, that's a hit, dealing out 1 random hit. So let's see what he does to us on his way out. 54 is minor damage, so we'll just laugh that one off. Fortunately, though, we managed to force him to break off. Now can we point the ventral turret at approach 8? And since it's at level, no we can't. That part's unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about that. So now we're in close range. So let's see what happens here as that P-80 moves into close range. We miss again. We can't hit that thing to save our lives. That is the tail gun that we're using. So let's see what he's able to do to us. What? Another hit, but only one. But only 1 hit, thankfully. 54, once again, is minor damage, so we'll laugh that one off. And then he'll break off despite not taking damage in that one. So we're in zone 4, but the clock is ticking. Zone 4, but we only have two, what's the word I want? We only have 2 zones left before we can put this thing down, so we're going to have to put this thing down in Zone 2 over the water. But at least now we start losing the P-80 shooting stars because they're not carrier-based. And we get into friendly fighter cover. 7 is no contact because we would have the P-80s. Zone 3, 1 zone left. And 11, 2 more P-80s, but again, no contact. Zone 2, so now we are going to be landing over water. Which I imagine is not going to make for a fun time. 7 is once again P-80s, no contact. But now we have to try to land this thing in the water. So, okay, force down after combat. So we had a leaking engine. Player has 2 choices. We can try to bail out and roll for survival. Right? Yes. Okay, so we have to roll for landing to see if we put this thing down over the water. Which, let's see, we're looking at a forced landing. Maybe that if bomber's forced down in zones 5 or 6. Okay, all crew may bail out. So we are going to try to bail out over water. We don't have the rubber rafts here, so first we have to try to land this thing. Do we still roll for weather? Total up all modifiers and roll on maybe that the bomber's forced. All crew may bail out and roll for survival over water. So we are going to have to roll and try to survive this thing. And crew, we've actually got quite a sizable crew here. So looks like we'll be rolling for everybody individually. Oh, we roll for landing first. So we do roll on B7, so we roll for our landing first. And what kind of modifier do we have? We didn't have any kind of skills that we picked up. Wait, we did have a +1 modifier from earlier in the mission. Windshield getting, yeah, we took a hit early in the raid. I think it was that's right, it was a windshield hit. So we have a +1 on our landing roll. Which a 4 + 1 is a 5 is a safe landing. But now we have to roll for survival. So we have to roll for everybody on the, let's see, that is going to be actually 8. Pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, ventral gunner, tail gunner, navigator, bombardier, and our EW officer, yep. And our obver agent. Okay, so the pilot's KIA. So we'll roll for the pilot first. So we're trying to see if we survive a water landing. So we're on this table. We don't have any modifiers, I don't think. We wouldn't have the rubber rafts, I don't think. Forced to bail out, crew does not get any life rafts, and the -4 survival DRM applies. Okay, so we have a -4 modifier on that. So rolling for the pilot first. That is an 11, -4 is a 7, so we just barely survive. We're rescued. So the pilot's rescued, which means the campaign will at least continue. Rescued by a Type 21 U-boat. Now for the co-pilot. A 3, he drowns. So death for the co-pilot. Presumably, but we'll call all these drowning deaths just to make it simple. Flight engineer. 6 also drowns. Ventral gunner. 9 -4 is 5, also drowns. Tail gunner. Also drowns. Navigator. 11, he's rescued. Bombardier. Dead. Our EW officer, whatever that translates to, dead. And the Obver agent, also dead. Well, that was... Who knew a leaking fuel tank could be that problematic? Okay, so... It looks like apply any possible wounds, then the crew rolls for survival. So, yep, looks like we survived there, which presumably means if we had to put this down... that was actually our 5th mission, so now we get awarded the Amerika Shield. Let's see, where are my awards? Oh. Found it. That was our 5th mission, so on our on our pilot, we get the Amerika Shield. And presumably this hypothetical badge, okay. So, yeah. Does not look like... So do we lose... So the question is, do we lose a sortie now from... Do we lose a sortie at this point from having to put this thing down? Does not look like we do, actually, so that'll actually be where we pick up our next session of Amerika Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies, and that will do it for this playthrough. So, still enjoying the narrative unfolding on this one. Kind of a pity that our bomber ended up getting put down with a leaky fuel tank, so we're probably going to end up getting a new model of that, along with most of a whole new crew, since almost everybody drowned just short of the Azores, and the Luftwaffe probably couldn't recover us there. So yeah, that's rather unfortunate, but that's where we'll pick it up. So tomorrow, we're going to have the next episode of Metal Gear Mondays as we play Metal Gear Solid, the board game. Wednesday, we'll have another bout entitled Bout 2, and Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Star Wars Life Day cookbook as we make the dessert, Clatoine crepes. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.